All right, let's talk about vertical angles. Two lines intersect. The opposite angles are called vertical angles. So if we look here, we have angle 2 right here and angle 3 right here. Because they're on opposite sides, those are called vertical angles. And vertical angles are equal to each other. They have the same measure. So if we look right here, this angle has 68 degrees. That means that we know that angle 1 also has to have, angle 1 has to also equal 68 degrees because they're vertical angles. Now, this does ask find the other angles, not just angle. It just doesn't want 1. It wants 2 and 3 as well. What we know about angles 1 and 2, actually, we could, I'm going to do this. Angle is 68. Let me actually look at this one right here. Doesn't really matter. These two are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. So we know that because it is a straight line. So remember, we're always going to take the total. In this case, it's supplementary, so it's 180, and subtract the one that we know, which is 68. And I don't know what that is. 2, 1, 12. Does that add up correctly? Yeah, that should work. So this would be 112 degrees. And remember, 2 and 3 are vertical angles, so this one also has to be 112 degrees. So angle, technically M, the measure of angle 2 is equal to 112, and the measure of angle 3 is also equal to 112. And that up there. Okay, when we have two parallel lines and then a line crosses them, the crossing line right here is called a transversal. Parallel lines, they're going to lie in the same plane, no points in common, they're never going to intersect. Intersecting lines are not parallel and they do cross at some point, one single point. Transversal intersects two parallel lines. Okay, so when we have two parallel lines and a transversal, this creates a bunch of angles. Okay, so it might be hard for you to see. We have what's called alternate interior angles. Okay, alternate means they're on opposite sides of the transversal and they're interior, so they're between the two parallel lines. So in this particular example, they're looking at 3 and 6 are alternate interior. They're both on the inside and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. And also alternate interior would be 4 and 5. Now, alternate interior angles have the same measure. Okay, so if I knew the angle 4 was 100 degrees, then angle 5 would also be 100 degrees. Alternate exterior angles. Okay, again, they have to be on opposite sides of the transversal, and this time they are outside of the parallel lines. All right, so 1 and 8 would be an example of alternate exterior angles, and they also have the same measure. Okay, so if I knew, for example, that this angle was 120 degrees, then I know that angle 8 would also have to be 120 degrees. Corresponding angles. Well, one's going to be on the inside, one's going to be on the outside, but think of it this way. Do you see how this is on the upper left corner of this little intersection? And this is also on the upper left of this intersection. That's what we call corresponding angles. And corresponding angles have the same measure. So 1 and 5 are going to be the same measure. So if this is 95 degrees, then this one also is going to be 95 degrees. So corresponding angles have the same measure. Alternate exterior have the same measure. Alternate interior have the same measure, as long as the lines are parallel. And this just says exactly what I just got done saying. All right, find the measure of all the angles. So we know one of them, we need to find all of the rest. In no particular order, I think what I'm going to do is just find all of these angles and then find all of these angles. Okay, so we know that angle 8 is 35 degrees. We know that angle 1 and angle 8 are vertical angles, which means they have the same measure. So this one also has to be 35 degrees. We know that angle 8 and angle 7 are supplementary, so they have to add up to 180. So we take the total minus the angle we know. 1 should be 145. And then angle 7 and angle 6 are also vertical angles, so that one is also 145. All right, so I've got all 4 of these so far. And now I want to start with these. Again, no particular order, not necessarily any rhyme or reason to, which one I do first or why I use a particular rule. There could be multiple rules. But I know this one's 35, and I know angle 2 is an alternate interior, so this one also has to be 35 degrees. I know angle 5 is a corresponding angle to angle 8, so this one has to be 35 degrees. I know that angle 7 and angle 3 are alternate interior angles, so this one has to match angle 7. And corresponding angles 7 and 4, 145 degrees. So when you have 2 parallel lines and a transversal, you're only going to have two angle measures that you're going to have to worry about. So is it going to be the small angle or is it going to be the bigger angle? All right.